back to the channel. So I'm just going to blabber on about electric cars eventually going to come cheaper than our petrol cars, and that all these electric cars need natural graphite, and buying natural graphite when it's just low now, we don't need that natural graphite now. They're not screaming out for it because electric vehicles aren't really in huge demand because they're not cheap enough yet. They have to chip away, make them cheaper and cheaper. The more they make, the cheaper it'll get. Eventually, there'll be a tipping point where everyone will want to get a lot of natural graphite out of the ground, and they're willing to pay a good price for it. And the company with the most natural graphite, the best project, will probably do well. And you could probably pick a few companies that could do well and do well like that. Easy in hindsight to say, yeah, pick a CXO, but why did CXO do so well? Because they had hard rock lithium spodumene, which wasn't in demand and then became in big demand because there was a shortfall. They had a good project, only had to spend $100 million, and rough sums, they could make $400 million a year, and that's why they did a 20x like that. Other companies, if they had to raise $400 million, they wouldn't have done this, they would have got more diluted, etc. So they could raise that $100 million and pay it back with 6 months. When the lithium price was going crazy, it was 6 months to pay that back. Not sure what it is now, don't really care. It's just an example. You want to pick a thing in a good location that can basically borrow the money and pay it back straight away, therefore not diluting the share price. So companies that could do that might just go on about what people are doing to get the cars cheaper. So Tesla's building this big factory in Mexico. They're going to build the cheaper car, which is a smaller version, and they're going to build it differently, so it's cheaper to build, etc. And continuing on, they're also doing this lithium refining, so they're going to make it cheaper there, doing it in-house, save a little bit of money there, which will trickle down to the end product for them. Okay, so ITM, these guys are in a good location. Not going to go too much detail, but they're in South Australia. South Australia is all renewables. They have a big, huge resource which will last 100 years. No shortage of resource here. They're drilling it out now. They bring out good drill results. No one cares because we don't care about natural graphite now. They will care when the government gives them a loan. That's when this will go up 30%, and then there'll be offtake agreements. Tesla will say, oh, we want to support you. That's when it'll go up. Right now, probably till 2025, nothing's going to happen. This will just trade sideways, perhaps even trickle down. But it looks like 2025 or something like that, there'll be a tipping point where it'll be much cheaper to get an electric vehicle. I think over the lifetime of the vehicle might be cheaper already. Not really sure. Don't care, but I just know it will get cheaper and cheaper. That's my opinion anyway. So, ITM is a good one. Plenty of videos about them. Big resource, in a good location, existing infrastructure, existing things, so they don't have to spend money because it's already existing, meaning they won't have to raise so much money, diluting the share price. Therefore, the X's on returns when this kicks off will be greater if it goes right. Take in mind this could go to zero and could lose you money, but you just got to be logical, and the market might agree with you later. So these guys are actually near ITM. Difference is these guys have drilled out a lot more, done the study, got a government loan, so they're further ahead, and that's why they're $500 million company. ITM, I think, will follow in the footsteps eventually. They're on the way to. They're drilling out, getting good drill results. 30 million. Guess what? CXO is probably $30 million company back here, and then things happen for them. Continue on. So this one here, $62 million company, but guess what? They're actually building the mine now as we speak. Natural graphite mine. They're actually not making battery materials. They just getting it out for the other uses of graphite. But they could make the switch down the road if it makes money. It makes sense. But anyway, they say they'll make $25 million a year after tax in the hand. And if they're making that per year, this share price is going to grow a lot. And guess what they'll do? They'll double production. If they're making that money, well, they're going to double production, make even more money. And if they don't make $25 million after all costs and tax, they make $10 million. That's still pretty good for a $60 million company. It's a bit more risky in Africa, but not too bad, I'd say. VRC, this one's got a big mine in Africa, but they have a working mine in Ukraine. Well, we all know what's happening in Ukraine right now, so pretty risky. This company could even halve from here. who knows what will happen. But a bit more risky. They have a working mine in Ukraine. It's actually in production now. It's in a part where there's no war, I guess. Not really doing big numbers. But then they have that big thing in Africa. And they have plans to go downstream as well. Bit more risky. But could go well also. And that's all I'll say. There's this other one also. This was only a $6 million company. I thought it was too much in the middle of nowhere to be good. But they've gone up. Still pretty cheap, around 10 million. Always go to here for the actual market cap, but still cheap and could go well. Actually in Darwin, so probably closer to China than ITM and RNU. But I'm not sure where the graphite will end up, but the whole world needs a lot of graphite anyway. So all these could go well. And not much more I can say. Just basically the giveaways are eventually electric vehicles will become cheaper than gas. Electric vehicles, the main battery choice is LFP battery, which takes natural graphite, and it's basically who can get natural graphite out of the ground and process it for the cheapest price. Well, someone with a big resource, existing infrastructure, renewable power around them, in a good location, etc. They'll have help from the government, which could be ITM. But you could just be buying this, see it trade sideways, lose some money, dribble down. 2025 comes in, could be a different story. We'll see what happens. We just have to wait and see. In the meantime, maybe buy a house and renovate it. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. Thank you and good night. Let me know if any other companies you think they have to be in a good location, have a low capex because they're in a good location, near existing things, big resource, etc. And it's something to do with lithium-ion batteries because that is a growing industry, in my opinion. Thank you and good night.